Hello and welcome to another edition of Ace Fairy Tales with Elizabeth on this Easter Tuesday, live from my garden because it's a nice day. Still a very happy Easter to those who are celebrating like me, and a happy so many other festivals because as there's apparently a conjunction of planets at the moment, there is also an alignment of many, many religious festivals from many faiths around the world. So happy everything and happy springtime. And I am going to tell you about a story that's in my new collection, Asexual Fairy Tales, which is crowdfunding at the moment. I'll put the link below in the description box. And this story is called The Marzipan Husband. Now, Marzipan does actually have a little link with Easter, because as we can see here, there is a simnel cake, the traditional simnel cake, which I haven't been able to bake this year because I've been poorly, but never mind. It's got marzipan on the top, it's got marzipan eggs, it's got marzipan in the middle. Marzipan's one of those things, some people really don't like it, and some people really, really, really like it, like me. I do, I really like it. And in my research, when I was doing some tweets about this story the other day on Twitter, I discovered all sorts of interesting things about marzipan. I discovered that there are marzipan museums. There's one in Lübeck in Germany, there's one in, I think, Budapest maybe, where they've got big sculptures out of marzipan, sculptures of people, animals, castles, all sorts of things that have been amazingly sculpted out of marzipan. And that brings us neatly to the story for today. It is taken from The Tale of Tales by Giambattista Basile. This was a very influential book of fairy tales from the 17th century in Naples, written in the Neapolitan dialect. It's a bit on the lines of the Arabian Nights, as in tales within tales within tales, and also a bit like Boccaccio's Decameron, which is tales within tales as well. It may be known to you a little bit from the film, which came out a few years ago, had Toby Jones in it and some other people. And one of the stories that featured in the film here is on the front cover, where a woman eats the heart of a sea monster and her maid inhales the steam from its cooking, and they both become pregnant together and give birth to boys who look like twins. Now that story, there's also a kind of version of that in my new collection, but it's amalgamated with a couple of other stories that are similar. So kind of look out for that. But this is a retelling of just one story from The Tale of Tales. The Marzipan Husband, it's about a girl called Betta whose father wants her to get married. She doesn't want to get married, so she decides to make herself a husband out of marzipan. And it really appeals to me. It kind of appeals to that aces prefer cake sort of thing, I know. But I just really like that idea. And so I've used this story, my own version of this story, in my new book, because he looks so pretty, because he's got enamel eyes and he's got bits of gold on him and jewels and fancy bits. A rich woman decides to steal him away for her collection, and then the girl has to get him back. I've got to say that those of you who know The Tale of Tales will be thinking that is not an asexual collection by any stretch of the imagination. But because the general motif appealed to me, it is, in my version it is. I just want to say that. It's very me, the version that I tell, as you can imagine. So yeah, that is that story, The Marzipan Husband. Another interesting thing about the story is, in this version, it's called Pinto Smauto, which means something like decorated enamel or pretty enamel or something like that. And that relates very nicely, or speaks very nicely to another story that I put next to it in the collection, with the girl with enamel eyes, which is based on about 4 different stories amalgamated together. I think in my version it's called The Clockwork Bride. So we've got the Marzipan Husband and the Clockwork Bride, both this pretty enamel. They're both sort of artificial people, getting into AI, in a old-fashioned AI in these stories, but it's kind of interesting. And also found out in my research for this that there's a Greek version of the story called Mr. Simigdali, Mr. Semolina. I'd prefer Marzipan to Semolina. I know that I don't like Semolina, but Marzipan. Anyway, and apparently there's a whole kind of little subgenre of Greek stories with spouses made out of baked goods. So you can tell us in the comments what you think about that. Would you like to bake yourself a spouse? Um, I don't know whether you'd eat them. Let's not go there. Anyway, if you would like to read the full story as I retell it and some of these other ones that I've mentioned in passing, then please, 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 please support our Kickstarter. We really need your help. Even if you can just put a small donation in to the pot, that would be very, very much appreciated. Also, you can pre-order your copies of the book. I'm just putting these books down. You can pre-order it in paperback and in ebook. You can get art prints. You can also add on the first 2 books, which are here. If you haven't read either of those and you want to add them on to your pledge, you can do that and get them along with the 3rd book, which will look very similar to this, with all the beautiful pictures which Anna is currently working on. And they're even better than before because she's now graduated, so she's all professional, and they're looking really good. So we really want to get those into the light as well. Oh, and if you have a book group and you maybe want to join together, there's a really special offer for book groups where you can get 10 books, and also I'll come and do a Zoom Q&A with you, or similar to Zoom if you don't want actual Zoom, but I'll come and do a virtual Q&A with you. That's the really special big offer. So it's a lot of money, so say if you're a book group you might want to club together to do that one. But that's some of the things that you can get on the Kickstarter right now. So description box for the Kickstarter, I'll pop it in there. Really, really gratefully received. Anything you can give, any other people you can tell about it. Thank you very much. I will look forward to seeing you again on Ace Fairy Tales.